Erin Burnett Out Front, weeknights at 7, only on CNN.
So the Inspector General process that conducts these investigations within the government, and particularly in agencies like IRS, that was created so that an investigation can go on without any sort of politics interfering in it, and that it could happen outside of the political process, and that an career investigator can come in, look at a problem, and make his own judgments, and then put that report out there and their recommendations, let them see it. The worst possible, the White House counsel's office will be alerted to know that such a report may be coming. There are hundreds of them that are done probably each month within the government. But the worst possible thing that we could have done is to involve ourselves at that point in an independent investigation of the IRS. So we knew the best thing for us to do is to let the investigator do their job, come public with their report and their recommendations, and we've picked it up and taken it from there. And Secretary Lew and the President have taken some pretty strong steps since then. But when these controversies arise, I'm a communications professional. Your first instinct is to want to deal with them right away and to answer all the questions right away. But what you can't do is take any action that's going to make the situation worse.
Right, but
so
Jennifer,
you need to wait and know all the facts, particularly when you are the President of the United States or speaking for the President of the United States.
Right, but you just said there were hundreds of these, right? But obviously there's hundreds, and none of them almost get to the status of this one. This one, in the Inspector General report, one of the key sentences, the IRS used inappropriate criteria that identified for review Tea Party organizations applying for tax-exempt status. That sentence alone, you're saying that would get leaked to the press, and the press would be aware before the President of the United States, and the IRS reports to him.
That is not that's not a situation that we welcome or are happy with. The fact that someone, it's obviously unclear who, but made the report available to the press before they made it available officially made it available to Capitol Hill and made it available to us. So that made it more difficult to deal with the press around this, but it didn't make it more difficult to deal with the substance, which is what we have done. But I can't emphasize enough what a huge mistake it would have been for the White House to hear about press reports of an independent Inspector General investigation of possible political activity at the Internal Revenue Service, and then have the White House insert itself and possibly contaminate and affect what needed to be an independent investigation. So did it make for a couple of uncomfortable days? Yes, but we dealt with it correctly.
I see your point, but it also, of course, does seem shocking. I mean, he is the guy who runs all this, so that people would run amok and would be giving it to other people first. How does that happen?
All any of us had were press reports. No one actually had the facts, and we waited, as was appropriate, as is incumbent upon the White House and the President to act responsibly. We waited until we actually knew what the facts were. We were not going to make decisions that are as important as how you operate the IRS and how you respond to a problem like this based on unconfirmed press reports.